Yo. Alright. Hello, party people. Welcome to week 2.
Morning.
Oh man, you guys are talking already. I didn't even have your volume on. Hi.
Oh, that explains a lot. I'm sitting
Yeah,
here
I was just about to at everyone. Alrighty. Well, welcome early birds, people that got here already. Thanks for joining us for week 2 of what you all demanded we do again because last week went so well. Let's get right into it and welcome our guests. Hello, people. Wow, look at this fancy schmancy setup. We're gonna make the rounds and introduce everybody. And you're going to get to know our lovely, lovely guests. If you don't know who any of those people are already, you silly. But let's start with the person directly to my... Hold on. the side of me, Pigeon Mitch. Let him know about yourself. Mitch, introduce yourself, buddy.
Oh well, I'm Pigeon Mitch. I mean, I go by Mitch. I go by Pigeon. Either or is good. All I do is I stream from time to time. So I come to Kevin's channel as much as I can. It's where I come for support. And yeah, I do streaming every now and then. That's just
Alrighty.
me. So.
PC, Jan, Pokemon Challenges. Tell us a little about yourself. Yo, you're muted.
I was just checking if you were paying attention. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jan. I host a Twitch channel called Pokemon Challenges. That's exactly what I do on my channel. I mainly focus on like super hard Nuzlocke and things like that. And yeah, it feels good to be here, man.
All right. Natty, who was here last week, just for the sake of continuity, let him know.
Hi, what's up, you guys? My name is Natty. My name rhymes with Daddy. You can call me such if you wish. I am a Pokemon and variety caster on Twitch and a wannabe weeaboo, but only on the weekends.
All right. Blurg.
Hi, I'm Blarg, aka the guy with the beard on Twitch. I do Pokemon content, and you know, I love all this community. So let's go, GG.
Joko.
Yo, what's up, everyone? My name is John. I'm also known as Joko, and I'm a VGC player who also happens to stream and be on Kev's mod team. So it's nice to
All
be
right.
here.
Cool. So some of the things we're going to go over today, as you can see above me, haha, this is funny, trolls on top of Pokev Sim, lol. We haven't heard that joke. Well, now you have, if you haven't. But we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be asking specific questions regarding the such trolls, deciding your mod team, multi-streams or like connections, building connections, friendships, etc., like networking with people. What are your thoughts on multis or just networking as a whole? And then if we have time for it, we'll do another general Q&A if it can tie into things. So yeah, if there is anything like with the audio matching up with people's faces, that's probably just a Discord thing. I'm literally connected to 5 other people, 2 of which are from Germany, 1 who's in Texas, 1 in Canada, 1 in like one of the Carolinas, I think. So there's a lot of bandwidth stuff going on. So yeah, what I wanted to do to kick things off is what are your thoughts? And I know there's already going to be different opinions. This is why I'm pretty excited to have Jan here specifically because he's got a very different opinion than most people. Is like, what are your thoughts on, you know, people that troll? How do you identify a troll when it happens? Like, tell us a story or a situation, one that stands out to you, whether it's general or specific. And how do you go about approaching the situation as it happens and after it happens? Go, Pigeon Mitch.
Well, I don't have to deal too much with trolls on my own channel because I mean I don't stream that often. But when I mod for Ryan, every now and then a troll will find its way in, and they're normally taken care of pretty swiftly, not by me but by Echo. He's a lot more on top of that stuff than I am. I'm too into the stream to really pay attention to that every now and then. But there are trends. They always try to disrupt something. They come in many shapes and sizes. It's hard to say, to know when a troll shows up, because sometimes they'll come from another stream and you won't know it's a troll unless you're told it's a troll. There have been times where Vander will come over to Ryan's stream and say, hey, watch out for that guy. He's doing stuff in someone else's channel. So generally what I do with them is I try to weed them out a little bit, just to try and figure out why they're really here, what they're trying to do. Once they know the intentions, give them a warning. If they don't listen, ban them. I mean, there really shouldn't be too much time spent with these people, and give them a chance to disrupt much more. I mean, there's always chat evasion and stuff like that, but once you can tell the trend and how they talk and type, then it's pretty easy to call them out and just do the same action. So that's at least how I deal with them. Always, report them. The problem's not going to get fixed unless they're reported. You can ban them as many times as you want, but really you want to make sure that they're reported and taken care of that way. So.
All right, so I'm gonna actually preface this with a disclaimer that I realize that I'm in a relatively, or not relatively, I'm in kind of a unique position compared to other streamers. What I say will probably not apply to most people. If you've been in my chat, compared to a lot of other people, especially in the Pokemon directory, I guess you could say it's kind of like, it's not the Wild West, but I'm a lot more lenient with people. There's a couple things that tie into this. First of all, I'm in a bit of a unique position because I grew up so much in like online communities of like online gaming, like StarCraft 2, where it was literally just like people calling each other the worst things possible in game, and growing up in like certain areas of the internet where I think I developed a quite tough skin towards certain things. Like 99% of what trolls will say in chat won't bother me. The definition of what a troll is like ties a lot into this, I think. Natty actually, before we started the thing, actually asked like, what type of trolls are we even talking about? And I think that's like a huge point because everyone has a very different definition of what is a troll, and it's basically just like what disrupts you as a streamer or your chat culture, right? And as someone who doesn't really get bothered by almost anything, I guess my definition for what a troll is extremely low. Like my bar is like very, very very, very low. So a point that I like to bring up with this is I think a lot of people would be surprised at how easy it is to turn someone who they consider a troll into a positive community member if you engage with them in a certain way. Is I guess my thoughts on this. I have another whole rant about this, about how I think what kind of people are behind people who troll. But that's basically the approach that I try to come with at people, because there is a lot of like very, very, very like just complete no engagement attitudes from a lot of people that I think if they thought about it a little bit more, could maybe push them in a different direction, I guess. Yeah.
So I kind of have a similar opinion to challenges, where I think a lot more about the person who is potentially trolling me than I would like to think most people, but I could be very wrong because I can't speak for most people. But I think it's also worth mentioning that there's two very different kinds of trolls. There are the people who just come in with a shocking name, and they just want to see a reaction to that follow, to which that usually just gets a timeout, a ban, and they're gone because, it's pretty easy to tell that they're not going to be a welcome member to your community if their name breaks TOS on its own. And then there's the sort of what I call like the long-term trolls, the ones who always come back, and like if they can't get you on Twitch, they'll get you on Twitter or YouTube or wherever else you are. And my personal response is I never ever respond to them. I will never ever make a public post about them, because in my mind, I don't know what's going on in their lives that this is their outlet, is to try to make someone else feel bad. But If their life is so bad that that's what they have to do, then far be it for me to take it to the next level and attack them. I'm just gonna let them live, do their own thing, and my hope is eventually they'll realize that I'm not reacting, then they'll leave me alone. But if going after me is what makes their day, by all means, I've got a thick skin. That's it for me.
I think I take a very unique approach when it comes to trolls. Because, you know, the way that I run my stream, I'm very interactive and I talk to everybody. And I try my best to make sure that I respond to everybody that's saying something in, you know, a very positive way or whatever. So on the occasion where you get a troll that comes in that's like, oh, hey, I'm going to see what I can do to wreck your stream. There's one thing that I do that's a little different. Instead of making it, you know, awkward or, you know, them getting the reaction, I make it to where we as a community get the reaction out of the troll. So I'm like, I essentially challenge them. I'm like, all right, give me what you got. Go ahead. I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute. Come up with something original. If you can do it, you can chill. If not, we'll see you later. But I think that kind of approach, it kind of helps me determine if they're going to be an issue or if they're going to be someone that's just like doing a one-off thing. You know what I mean? Like, so it kind of helps with the way that, you know, you run the stream, because you can determine it right there at the beginning rather than, you know, have issues going forward. So I guess it kind of helps because it makes it part of the show rather than, you know, a whole big deal.
Yeah, so first of all, I myself, I'm not the most experienced streamer, so it's not like I have that much experience with how to deal with trolls myself as a caster. As a mod, however, like I can just agree with Mitch. You need to, you know, keep the chat clean, but yeah, as a caster, I think that I agree most with the way PC does it, actually. You know the year-old rule, like don't feed the trolls ever. If you give them what they want, they're not gonna stop, right? So basically, I think no reaction is a good approach, and the way Blar is doing it, I think is cool too. If you can manage to like outsmart them, I guess. Yeah.
Is that basically it from everybody? Any other adding thoughts?
I'll say I like PC and Jokaria's way of doing it with being the streamer, because with what I do at work, at least, you know, everyone's got a job outside of this unless you're really lucky. I deal with, you know, customer relations all day, every day. I do emails, I do chats, and there is a specific way that you need to talk to these people, because just like anyone, they're a person as well. There may be a reason why they're saying these things. There's something might have happened. They may have something that led them to that point that's bringing around the interaction that you're now having with them. Their approach to it, to there may be a deeper why and all that. I never really think of that side, even though I deal with that every day, and that's something that I have learned to do. I've never applied that to streaming, so it's definitely a different viewpoint, and I've gained from that. So I appreciate their opinions on that. So,
All right.
I kind of want to add, to give some perspective, I guess, because I think when I was like 14, 15, 16, maybe, I think I was much of what people would consider a Twitch troll. Even though back then it was like just in TV times and shit like that. When no one would ever get banned for anything, good old times. And I think the communities that actually helped me kind of see where why I was doing these things and where I was going as a person were actually people that were not necessarily embracive of this kind of culture, but at least handled it in a certain way where it wasn't just like where it didn't get like dehumanizing, I guess, if that makes sense. And rather kind of dealing with it in a more nuanced way, I guess. is what kind of showed me that if you're part of like an inclusive community, you don't have to act that way to be part of that community, I guess. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, it
Alright.
makes sense to me.
Joko, I saw you raising your hand. Did you want to add on to that, or did Jan kind of just cover it for you?
Yeah, I was actually trying to, like I heard Jan tell about his past as a troll before. That's what I wanted to bring up actually. So yeah, he said what I wanted.
Okay. So if anybody was wondering what I think, I'm glad you all unanimously agree on ban the bad usernames. That's really, really important. There's sometimes people will even shuffle around the vowels and stuff to try and get away with it, and then you don't notice for a few minutes, and you're like, oh shit, how did I not catch that name right away? And it can be pretty bad. Sometimes I even go into channels and I'm like astounded that there's like 3-year subs named like Fart on Your Face 22, and I'm just like, how's that not a bad name? But you know what I see as something bad, some other people might see as harmless, because like toilet humor is appropriate and funny in some channels. For mine, I'm personally not comfortable with it. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just kind of got to reevaluate what's the bigger picture, what's worth getting rid of. Sometimes it's not that serious. Some people don't even encounter that. Again, it all depends on what you've been through, how many people are clicking on your channel, what your spot is in the directory. Sometimes could be what it is. Like yesterday, somebody went into my friend's channel who also has dyed hair, and they're like, wow, you PokeFSim imposter, and he's like, what the heck? So names are definitely like the first thing. Glad most people unanimously agree. If it's bad, just get rid of it right away. The one thing I really don't like out of trolls are like people that just clearly want to be annoying. Like they go out of their way to make morbid jokes, or like they spam intentionally. Like the only attention they want is clearly a negative reaction. The ones that you guys talked about as far as messing with goes, I do think sometimes it's funny to get the people that are like, oh hey, I just want a reaction in general, whether it's good or bad, and then you can make them a part of your community. You can mess with them, you can sort of play games with them, or sometimes you might not have the patience for it. It all depends on your reaction, and that could have to do with your growth with that one person, or the people watching that silently lurk and just watch how you handle it. That could also impact your stream's growth. If you handle a bad situation well, and you carry yourself with grace, and you don't rant like I do a lot, then you might get some more growth out of that situation, just depending on how you carry yourself in the instance. But sometimes it's hard to make that decision, so it's good to talk about it, have constructive thoughts exchanged and whatnot, so you can, you know, help moving forward and whatnot. I see somebody asking, what about donation trolls? Before we address that, I was actually going to ask Natty, because I know Natty went through a situation earlier this year, if you're cool with talking about it. Before we get into that though, Jan, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I mean, I was just going to add on to that as much as I empathize with trolls and try to get people to see like the human side and whatever, and like, yeah, be inclusive, blah, blah, there is always like super lost cases where it's just super obvious. Yeah, you're just trying to ban bait, right? Yeah, like you're just trying to absolutely 100% get banned, see how far you can go to get away with it. It's like, yeah, okay. And in that case, it's like, whatever.
All right. So talking about donation trolls, aka chargebacks or whatever. I don't know if that necessarily falls under trolls, but it definitely falls under the I want your attention and I want it in a negative way. So I know Natty went through a situation. I also have a small story to tell, but I don't think it even compares in scale to this. So Natty, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it. I don't mean to put you on the spot like this.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine
Alright.
with talking about it. Late 2017, I almost want to say earlier this year because that's when it was finally resolved. So I will say late last year, early this year, I went through a situation where I had a very long-time member of my community who I had never considered a troll in his life. He had been an outstanding member of my community, was at every stream, was always very courteous and kind to everyone, and he happened to donate a lot of money. Now, if you ever come to my channel, or I'm going to say the majority of at least every channel I've ever been in, most people will say donations are appreciated, but never necessary. Don't ever donate what you don't have. So this guy would come in and he would drop $100 there, $50 there, $20 there. And out of the blue one day, mid-November, shortly after I actually got partnered, I got the emails from PayPal saying, hey, this is being contested. The funds have been removed from your PayPal. It actually put me into the negative on PayPal because he just charged back that much at one go. And I kind of sat there, and here's the thing is I would have messaged him if he had really needed that money back. All he had to do was say, hey, I made a mistake. I can't afford my bills this month. Help me out. And I would have been like, yeah, give me a couple days to, transfer some money from my bank into my PayPal so that I'm not in the negative, and I'll give you your money back. It's that simple. But he didn't. Instead, I went to contact him, and I had been blocked off of Twitter. I had been blocked off of Discord. I had no way to get in contact with him, so I contested it. And I showed my proof that, not only had they donated once, but they had donated multiple times. I showed chat logs of their username talking in my chat, and I ended up winning my chargeback cases. But it's also made me very, very skeptical now, because now if someone comes in, and even my longtime viewers are one thing, but if someone new comes in and just drops a donation, I will contact that person right away, and I'll be like, do you want this back? Because I don't know you. And I know that sounds awful to say, someone's being kind and generous and giving me money, and I'm like, do you want it back? I don't trust you. It's not exactly how that goes, but it kind of, that is the way a lot of the time will come across. And two, if you do get donations from people who you don't know, leave it in your PayPal for at least 90 days. At least 90 days before you touch that money. That's all I'm going to say about that. But if you do donation trolls, don't fucking do it. You're messing with someone's livelihood when you do shit like that. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Seems like a lot of people definitely feel for you there. That's good. That's cool how we just improvisationally were able to throw that in because somebody was like, what about this? So that's cool. We'll still keep the flow going though. So for me, what happened was there was somebody that I had never seen the username before. They came in and they did a tier 3 sub, and they were talking about how they did that to 2 of my other friends in the Pokemon community, and talking about how much they love us, etc., etc. Then they tipped $30 or something, and they then were like, oh, my credit card bounced. I'm like, why are you telling me what's going on with your finances? Keep track of yourself. Don't do that shit. They're like, sorry, I'm 18 and I don't have a job and I have a credit card. I'm like, why did you tell me this and give me all this money? That's so weird. And then, of course, a month later, me and the 2 other streamers got the chargebacks on PayPal. And I think one of them honored the chargeback and was like, whatever, dude, just get lost. The other one got it reversed. And then me, I had to wait 2 months, and then it was finally situated and it was fine. But that was the worst I've dealt with. It was really weird. When people start telling you that they're broke and they're giving you money, it's really uncomfortable, and that's just one of the warning signs. Does anybody else have any other stories or things they want to share in regards to chargebacks? Yeah, Blarg?
I had a kind of similar situation where I had $137 charged back back in January, and luckily I did win mine because all I actually did was just send in the snippet over my donation bar that says, hey, these are the rules. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. And I actually got it reversed just 2 weeks ago. So that was good. But the guy was somebody that I'd never seen in the chat before. Just like what happened to you, Kev. I had never seen this guy before. And the first thing he did was drop $100 just out of nowhere. And then he started doing more. In smaller increments, and it just, oh god, it was just it was so much of a headache. People Natty, I know you understand, Kevin, I know you understand, chargebacks are a freaking headache because you're worrying about it constantly because I don't know, man, because it affects your livelihood, and you wonder how there can be people out there that are like that. You understand certain situations arise, but then again, you it's like what Kevin said, people want attention and they want that immediate recognition. And while it's under the guise of a positive thing, then they go back and they charge that back and it becomes negative. It's just a really, I don't know, it's just a horrible thing. But yeah, definitely. It's good that we have these types of protections in place now with PayPal, because it wasn't like that a few years ago. They would always side with the person that donated. And now, I think there was something that happened on YouTube with a guy that was a live streamer for YouTube, and ever since that moment, PayPal has started to stream more with live content creators than ever before. So it's a really, really good thing.
Alrighty. Yeah, Natty, anything else to add on?
You muted, Kev.
Oh. Sorry, I unmuted on OBS for a sec. My apologies. Yeah, Natty, add on.
If it's okay, I just want to grab a comment that I saw in the chat real quick. Real
Quack?
quick. Real quick.
Quack. Does anyone have any duck emotes?
Oh my god.
I'm nervous. Leave me alone. If it's alright if I respond to a comment in the chat real quick.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
in the Slack. Someone had said that there should be a rule on Twitch about if you donate, you can't charge it back. I would disagree to that because stuff does happen. I've had, I won't give names obviously, but I had a 14-year-old whose mom said it was okay for him to donate $10, and he accidentally, clicked that 0 button one too many times and did 100. So I gave it back to him. And it does happen. People go through situations all the time where maybe one month you had a really downer paycheck and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to drop $50 over here to the streamer because I like them. And then next month their car's in a crash and they're like, ah, crap. But the thing with most streamers that I know is that as long as you come talk to us about it, we're human. We'll give it back. We understand that stuff happens. Just talk to us. Don't just go straight through your credit card company and be like, hey, because that looks that hits us really hard because we, most of the time, if you give us like a day just to get our ducks in a row, Quack, we'll give you your money back. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm gonna stop now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I'm actually of a different mindset here. I think that I get it, like, mistakes happen. You might hit the wrong digit, etc., etc. So for that, I think it should take, like, a certain amount of time to process, or, like, maybe you should read before you hit the enter button. Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe it's like, I'm like, no, mistakes aren't allowed. But I do think that there should be a disclaimer, like, hey, this is optional and you have the funds if you're going to do this. So, think hard about it. Make sure you really can and you're doing it for no reason other than to give to the streamer and expect nothing in return. That's how I think it should be handled, because with bits, like, you don't even need to have that conversation because it's integrated in Twitch, right? Where with PayPal tips, it's like, it's there. You get it instantly. There have been there's like so many horror stories about it to where, like, anybody who knows what PayPal tips are now using Twitch, I feel like if they're going to go to that option while they also see the bits option, like, I feel like they know what they're getting themselves into, at least in the year 2018. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is that one exception, but that's how I feel about it. So.
Well, Twitch gets a cut if you donate bits, right?
Yeah,
that's
the
right.
PayPal tip is direct. Yeah,
That's right.
that might just be a reason to go through PayPal.
With PayPal, because I work with eBay, I'm like this with PayPal. They actually have 180 days to file a chargeback with PayPal. So that is 6 months. They can press that button and dispute that charge. PayPal has gotten a lot better with, like, digitally delivered goods and stuff like that, paying for services and stuff online. eBay doesn't cover that, but PayPal does. But 6 months is a long time that someone can wait out and press right at that last day.
Alrighty. Before we jump to the next topic, are there any, like, last thoughts or anything you guys want to add on, or something you saw in chat that you, like, want to respond to?
Yeah, there's one thing.
Okay.
It was just we were talking about, like, the disadvantages and advantages between bits and like PayPal, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's also, like, the one disadvantage would be that the streamer doesn't get the money immediately if he gets the bits, but, like, for PayPal, technically you could, like, spend it immediately. But, like, as Natty already said, you probably should be careful with that too. Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
Alrighty. So the next topic that we're going to talk about it was gonna tie into trolls, but then like the topic of like chargebacks, I didn't even really think to like tie that into trolling. Really, I was gonna like see if we had time at the end for like something like that, if it could tie in. But that was actually like a subject that I was gonna save for another week. But hey, we had a whole conversation about it. That was pretty cool. So the topic we're gonna talk about now is deciding your mod team as a streamer. Like what goes on in our heads when we are choosing who to give the sword, who to essentially help us with running our stream for us. Basically, that's the general gist of it. I think it definitely ties into trolls well, because mods definitely mediate situations a lot. They guide people in the right direction a lot of times. They're pretty much the example that they want the chat to be, you know? At least that's my mentality when I see somebody that is a good example to everybody else, and I think has great leadership qualities and is regularly there, you know, pretty much every time I go live without fail. That's how I go about deciding the people that have the sword for me. So as you can see, yeah, Jokario's one of them, but he's here because of his he's here because of his content, not because I have any favoritism. I think he's a good streamer. But yeah, that's my take on it. Yeah, I answered the question first. So we'll go around the other way. Jokario, if you'd like to start with answering this.
Oh yeah.
Be brutally honest. I know you definitely have some interesting points.
So the things I look for, like the criteria I choose mods, that I use to choose mods, are usually okay. So not everyone has to fulfill all criterias, but the things I look for are like they can be role models for the community. I think that's like the biggest part. Like for example, I as a mod, I realized that I'm not the guy that times out people that much. I'm more of like the guy that tries to be positive and like keep the chat like keep a nice atmosphere and stuff like that, and behave how I expect people to behave. And then obviously, as a VGC streamer personally, I also mod people that like know stuff. Like usually you mod people that are also interested and knowledgeable about the content you do, right? And yeah, that's like the same for me. And then obviously, and I think all of us do this too, we mod people that we, or actually, yeah, I guess all mods are friends of ours as well. So, and that's not like a bad thing, because you have to trust your mods, and like, who would you trust more than your friends?
Okay, so when it comes down to like moderators, like I always look for people that, like Kevin says, they're always at the stream, but different moderators can do different things. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's good to have a team. Whereas you have one mod that's there for, you know, keeping chat in line, or you have, you know, one mod that's there to add to the experience or help with like certain events or whatever it is that you're doing. I always look for people that are there, like most streams. Okay, I want them to have the same viewpoints and be in line with the same positive experience that I produce with my content. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to understand the rules clearly, be able to enforce the rules, and, you know, above all else, just be supportive of the stream entirely. Make everyone feel welcome, and just be good at what they do. And I feel like I do that. Like, for example, one of my mods, Chewy, I don't know if you guys ever seen him. He's been a moderator for me for over 9 months now, and he was in the community for about 3 before I modded him, because he was always there every single stream. And he's probably missed like 6 streams in the past year, which is crazy. But I mean, you just need to find people that are there, that can be there, and that have your back, and, you know, will do everything in their power to help the community experience be a more positive one, in my opinion. So, and that's what I like. That's how I choose my mods.
Hello. First, Rob, thank you for gifting me that stuff to Kev. Speaking of mods, hi Rob.
Thank you, T-Rex.
So first of all, I would like to give a shout out to my mod team because my mod team goes above and beyond what I think most moderators on Twitch ever should. I rely on my mods for everything. Like, if I need help with TCG, my mods help me. If I need help with Pokemon, like with battle Pokemon, my mods help me. If I'm making a YouTube video, guess what? Guess who I call my mods for Twitch? So my moderators are definitely people who I have to consider friends. They have to get along with me, and they have to be at least somewhat knowledgeable. But that's, you know, when I say somewhat knowledgeable, tell me the difference between a Pikachu and a Bulbasaur is pretty much good enough for me. For me, my moderator team is basically just like my second family. So when it comes to picking a new moderator, I want someone who's going to mesh well with my existing family. So I know he's here, and I asked if I could call him out on it, so I'm sorry. Techno Dragon is the newest member of my mod team, and he got picked as a moderator because, one, he's in every stream. I knew his face, I knew how, but the most important thing was that he got along with my existing mod team. As far as being a Twitch moderator, we can teach you how to mod on Twitch. We can teach you the basic commands. We can teach you what flies and what doesn't fly in my channel and my community. But what we can't teach you is how to get along with the existing team. So that is one of the biggest reasons he got picked. And thank you again, Tech, for letting me call you out, because it's so much easier if I can put an example to an actual person. But that for me is the biggest thing, is that you have to get along with my existing family. Because I have a really good team behind me, and I want it to stay a really good team that gets along.
Oh, I had it muted on OBS, but yeah, I said this is wholesome as fuck. All right, Jan, I'll say this again, dude. Jan's answers are super interesting because he's like the niche streamer of the world. Like, all his perspectives on things are really like, he's like that like uncle that you don't get to talk to as much as you want to. That's what I think he is. But yeah, share your stories,
Wow, dude.
your wholesome experiences.
Putting the pressure on for me to give like a super original answer here. No, like, I agree with most of what was said here, or with all of it actually. I think one point that's important for me. So there's two criteria that go into it for me, and it's different for everyone because everyone uses mods like in a different way. Like for me, I barely ever ban anyone in my chat. I could do all of that by myself. It's not really the issue. It's like more of like helping new people out and doing like commands. We have like betting commands and stuff like that, right? And I think one thing that's actually important to me in my community is can this person like give me shit, right? Like, can they criticize me? Can they tell me when I'm doing something wrong? Can they tell me when something in my stream is off? Can they tell me when something that I'm doing is really bad? Can they tell me when an idea that I have is really bad? That's like a number one criteria for me. It's super, super, super important. That's what I look for. Because if they're just going to say yes to everything I do, then having conversations with them about what my stream is going to be or how my stream is going to go forward is pretty pointless, right? Except to make me feel good, I guess. So that's another criteria that I would say is pretty important. Other than that, yeah, because mods just fulfill like I mean, like for me, my mod team is just like the best friends that I have in my community. That's not meant to diss anyone else who I didn't mod or anything. It's just people that I get along with extremely well, which is important, right? You guys mentioned it's important to like trust your mods and be cool with them and everything.
Yeah, I'm here. What I look for in a mod is Echo. Whenever I'm no, he's a great guy and he does what he does phenomenally. He is great at what he does. But when it comes to mods, at least in my chat, what I'm looking for is someone who everyone likes. You know, a popular face, someone who can do a job right. If they can listen, if they can, you know, take constructive criticism. That is a big thing for me. I'm always receptive to feedback, and I want everyone that I choose as a mod to be receptive to feedback as well. if I see something they're doing that I don't really approve with, I want them to be able to go, yeah, I understand I did something wrong. I'll fix that. That's all I'm asking. Even if I'm wrong and they're right, just let me know that you understand what I'm trying to put across. Is that I just want you to listen. I feel like every quality that makes it's no different than a job interview. Them spending time in chat is the interview. Once they spend enough time in chat, you get to learn who they are, how they talk, what their likes are. Getting to know that person is going to be the best way to know if they're right to moderate your stream or not. So I think that's really important to take into consideration is know who that person is, learn them. But it all comes down to Echo.
All right. So we aren't done talking about this whole thing. One more thing that I don't know how often you guys have gone through this or if you've ever gone through it at all, but one thing that I see a lot of is because chat interaction is like my chat is always moving pretty much. There's a lot of questions that I get all the time too, and I have a lot of people that aren't mods that try to chime in and just like help them out. And me, the way I see it a lot of times is like, oh man, there are people that are trying to mod for me. It actually got to a point where I made most of my commands just mod only, because I saw people were like using the commands that typically like mods would go for, like, you know, they were like, yo, make sure you follow Kev on Twitter, !Twitter, and it's like that's not even a mod doing that. Like they were trying to self-promo me and stuff. And I don't know, have you guys ever had the viewer that really wants to be modded and it's like painfully obvious? Okay, so I see two heads nodding. All right, cool. So Blarg, share your story and then we'll get to Natty.
Okay, so this person is no longer a part of my community. So this is a very, very interesting perspective on this. So there was this one kid, of course, we're going to name withdrawn, that would always come by every single stream, throw up commands, try to help. If someone asks a question to me and they would at me, right? I don't mind answering the same question 30 times a stream. It's what you do as a streamer, okay? So like it's something you have to get used to. Like I don't mind that at all, right? It's just something that you have to do. But then you would have these people that would throw up a command or answer the questions and chime in. And I would say things like, you know, you don't have to do that, man. You can just relax. I got it. It's totally cool. Just have a good time. Just relax, enjoy the stream. And then whenever I would end the stream, I would get those DMs on Discord, and it'd be like, "Hey, I love your stream. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to use all the, you know, like these commands and help out as much as I can in chat. You know, maybe I can become mod one day. Blah blah blah." This repeated, like not just like every single, like once a week, but like every 2 to 3 streams, I would get that message from the same person, constantly saying that. I'm like, well, there's not a spot open at the moment, so if the best thing you can do is just be active in chat, you know, be a part of the community, learn how the stream works. But I would get those messages 2 to 3 times a week, and flat out I said, I'm sorry, man, like the position's full. You won't be a mod. I hate to sound like this, but it's like, I need people that will allow me to still be able to answer the you know, the questions that chat has and not answer them for me, because I don't want there to be anyone stepping on anyone's toes. And I got blocked. They left, and I never heard from them again. So they really took that in a terrible way. But at the end of that, I think the stream grew because we no longer have to deal with that kind of like situation where someone's like always chiming in and trying to do like the job of a moderator to try to become a moderator. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're coming in and you're trying to do a moderator's job, it's almost, to me, the way that I see it, it's almost like you're saying that those mods aren't doing their job and that they're not good at what they do. And I don't really like that. You know, I would rather, you know, viewers come in, you know, you trust the moderators because I trust them. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do what they do. I understand you want to help, but you're a viewer first and foremost. You're there to enjoy the stream, and I understand that you want to help, but just like sometimes people just take it way too far.
Can I add on to that real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like if people I mean, it kind of ties into what you said anyway, but like if I needed more help with like everyone doing commands and chat engine, if I felt that was the case, then I'd just get another mod, right? Like it's I don't know, it's like it doesn't really even make sense, I guess. I mean, it's nice, but if especially if you get a message like that, like, hey, like after every stream, hey, I was wondering maybe I could be like, you're kind of wondering, why are you even like doing this? Are you doing this to help me, or are you just doing this because you're like super power hungry to be a mod on my stream? It leaves a pretty bad taste in people's mouths, right? I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I just want to say the story blog that you shared, like, that's really shitty that you went through that, but I'm glad that I, like, asked the question if other people go through this, and I didn't realize that there are people that actually, like, have it worse than people just, like, you know, using commands or, like, trying to, like, just control the chat, you know, stuff like that. It's amazing how much further it goes than that. So, yeah, Mitch, I saw you raising your hand, and then we're going to get to Natty's story.
Yeah, basically it comes down to, like, you know, Blug mentioned the whole thing that was going, that's micromodding. It's no different than micromanaging. There's always that one person at work who's trying to do more because they want a promotion. And again, you know, receptive to feedback. They clearly weren't. They're not mod material. Like they didn't take the feedback that Blug had for them constructively and build off that. Slow it down, back off. You don't want someone riding your ass. Just give it a break. You know, I've seen that being a mod. I've seen people in Ryan's chat just blast on through, putting commands, micro-modding when there are plenty of mods there to do that job. It's like you're trying too hard, and it's, you know, there's mods for a reason. We're not looking to get any more. And calm down.
All right. Natty.
Tough act to follow. So for me, this happened to me quite a while ago. It was long before I ever instated the rule when you click on my chat that says don't ask to be mod, because I had seen that rule on so many other people's channels, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy who's like, don't ask to be a mod here. Like let people like think that maybe you know, keep it open. And so people used to come in and ask, well, what do you need to be a mod here? And I used to say things like, you know, a lot of time spent in the chat, you know, good repertoire with the community. And I had one person, and for the people in my community who are here right now, please don't name drop. As always, we like to keep this as anonymous as we can. But it got to the point where I would add a new moderator, and this person would speak up in my chat like, yet another person who got modded before me, yet I am like your number 3 most watched person, because I have a bot that lets people know exactly how long they've spent in my channel while I'm live. And I'd be like, okay, and I'd kind of ignore it. And then it just got to the point where one day I messaged this individual after a stream, and I said, look, you need to, if you have a problem with who I'm moderating, my DMs are open. I don't block people from messaging me on Discord or Twitter. Could you please keep it out of my Twitch chat, though? And this person just got completely offended, and they said things along the lines of like, well, you said that you look for people who are in good standing in your community and watch you a lot, and you know, the other 2 people who are above me in hours are modded, but I'm not, and blah, 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 blah. So finally, I just had to, like, say, I'm like, first of all, I appreciate that you've never directly asked for mod, because, you know, even though it's not a rule in my channel, you technically never did it. But you're being very passive-aggressive, and in no way, why would I want to mod someone who doesn't even have the job and is already making me feel like shit? Like, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to be a moderator in someone's channel, don't actively seek it. I think is the best way I can put that, is that I look at every single person who is currently a moderator in my channel, and not once did any of them ever make it even remotely known that they wanted to be a mod.
All right, Blarg, take it away.
Yeah, I was gonna throw something in there. Like, just building off of this entire situation, I recently had a situation where, like, I just added a new member to the mod team, okay, like a week ago, right? And then we had a person that came into the stream, didn't know anything about the stream, and the first thing that they said was, because like sometimes I have moderators answer questions alongside me, okay, because that's what they do. Says that that they need to stop doing their job, that they're micromodding, and then they should not be answering those questions. Flat out, just said that, and I'm just sitting there dumbfounded, like, what? Do you know what a moderator is? You know. So we took it, we purged the guy. He came back and he said, well, clearly this isn't the stream for me. Your mod's micro mod, and I don't think we're going to have a good time here. And so I decided to be brutally honest. I'm like, listen, moderators have to do their job. I trust my mods. This is a very positive community, and I'm sorry you're going to miss out on it, but there's literally thousands of other streams that you can go watch if you feel uncomfortable. So I hope you have a good day. But he stuck around after that.
All right, Joko, I haven't heard your voice in a while, and I saw you raise your hand. Did you want to say anything?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to bring in a little anecdote from a streamer of a friend of ours. And they had someone in chat, that was yesterday actually, and they asked, like the person in chat, they asked like what you need to do, or like what qualifications you need to be a mod in that stream, or like in streams in general. And they got quite a backlash from chat itself for it, which I thought, like, in that situation it was like not really fair, because they didn't ask in a way that would suggest that you, like, that they say they want to, like, obviously they want to be modded at some point, but like they didn't ask for the mod rank at the point. And yeah, I just wanted to tell that story. And but like to add on to what everyone else already said, I agree that most mods, or like all mods, they don't work towards their mod rank. And like I don't think that the mod rank is something that, like, you don't do it for yourself, you do it for the stream, for the streamer, for the community. And that's a mindset you already need to have from the very beginning, and like the streamer is gonna see that, and eventually that's gonna get you to be mod.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think it was all really, really well said. Y'all have a lot of good stuff to offer there. Alrighty. Alright, we're just gonna jump right into the next topic, unless you guys have any last thoughts that you just want to add in before I just kind of jump to the next area. Yeah, go for it, Natty.
Sorry, just because I am trying to, I'm reading the chat and I'm writing down the really good questions that people are asking. So everyone, please feel free to answer this with me. But one person wrote, as a mod, the thing I'm curious about is how you guys communicate with your mods while you're live without breaking the flow of your chat. And I think that's a really good question. So I really wanted to be able to touch on that. For me, my moderators know that when I'm live, I don't touch Discord. I even tell people who are like, check your Discord real quick. I'm like, nope. So my moderators always have their Discords open to our mod room that we have in there that obviously just they can see. And all I have to do is put one letter, one number, whatever my hand happens to hit on the keyboard, and they know something's going on in my chat, and they all jump in to check what's going on. Kudos to my mod team for always being super prepped for that. But I think that every streamer will communicate with their mods as well as to how they want things handled if they need to get in touch with them. For me, that's it. One word, one letter, whatever my hand hits on the keyboard, my mods know something's up. They jump in and they check.
Yeah, I've actually heard of, this isn't something that I do, but I've heard of people having like hand signals and stuff for like if somebody's acting up, and like as they're responding to their question or something, like if they do like a little bit of this, like if they scratch their head for 3 seconds, it means time that person out, like, or whatever. I don't know. It's really interesting. The way I kind of go about it is I really trust my mods to just be themselves and hang out. But again, like don't do anything that would break the rules of my stream. You know, like viewers' rules still apply to them. They're not above the law or anything, right? So like if they make a shitty joke, I'm gonna address it as it happens. And like, there are times where still like, because my rules have like changed a few times in the last months. There are times where I'm like, okay, maybe that joke's not as, that would have been good 6 months ago, but like, let's not say that again. And I'll just like message the person individually so as to not make a big show about it if I like see something I don't like. And then usually like the flow of things are good, and they have been for the last few months, you know. I just think communicating what your rules section means to them in specifics, and like go over situations you've been through and be like, for example, if this pops up, this is how we handle it. And like, if you just need to pull somebody aside and message them individually, that's like how I go about it. And it's been pretty good. I think we have a really good flow going, and most of them are friends with each other. A lot of them stream themselves too, and they put aside so much time for me, which is like awesome. So they have a good grasp as to how to handle viewers in general. So, yep. All right.
I'm curious, real quick.
Yeah.
Because actually, what's like an example of a situation where you would want the help of one of your mods in a situation that you wouldn't be able to handle yourself at the time?
Yeah. Let's say I'm playing a game that requires both my hands to be on the controller, right? Like, if I'm playing something like Splatoon or Smash Brothers, I need moderators to be there to answer questions that I'm inevitably going to miss, because hand-eye coordination can only take me so much farther than the game and the chat, like, to be able to do it all at once, right? So it's really good to have them there just to, like, answer questions, or, like, if somebody asks for my friend code, like, the mods need to be there to be like, hey, you need to be following Kevin, and then I'll give you his friend code, you know, or something like that. If somebody gets banned and they whisper me, they realize my whispers are off, they're gonna whisper the next mod that they see on the viewer list. So then I might need to just like handle the situation through whispers with the mod there, and like some other mods might not know about it because it depends on who got whispered over a ban or a timeout or something. Like, they might just want a reason, and you know, sometimes they'll be able to do it themselves, sometimes they're gonna need me to like address it with them. So stuff like that. Pretty much.
Okay, sure. I was just wondering, because like, if you have time to message your mod, you have time to just ban the person yourself, right?
Right. I was like going on to another point after answering the initial
sure.
question.
Sure, yeah.
Sorry if that was confusing.
All good.
It makes him look like a teacher. Oh my god.
Can I ask something, like, to all you guys, because it kind of ties back into trolls and mods, you know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of pulls the two subjects together. What do you guys do in those situations where all of a sudden someone does something wrong, a moderator bans or times out a person, and then all of a sudden they go on a tirade where they start whispering every single person in the chat, and then they go to other chats and start whispering those guys? What do you guys do in those situations?
Shout to ignore them if it gets out of control. Just yell, ignore. This is out of my control. I don't know.
I'm fortunate enough to have never had that happen to me, but it's probably because I never ban anybody.
I remember when someone got timed out on Ryan's channel, and the first thing he did was reach out to Vander, who banned him. Reached out to me, wanted to appeal his banning. Reached out to Echo to appeal his banning. And it just kept going and going. It's like, you did this wrongfully. It's like, if he made the decision to take you out, there is a reason, and I'm not going to argue that. Like, there's no point in talking about it. If it's done, it's done. It's not a courtroom. Like, there's a reason it's done. And the mod team is a mod team because they were trusted to make those decisions. They're essentially an extension of the streamer. Like, why should I have to question someone else on the mod team's decision when we're both on the mod team? We're supposed to trust one another. Like,
I guess my question is, like, what do you guys do to throw it off? Because, like, sometimes it can really like affect the viewer experience, especially if like just random viewers are getting bombarded with these messages. Like, I know you say to tell them to put them on ignore, but do you go so far as to like have them report the account for harassment?
If I might, I have a story I can add to this that both covers your story and gives you and tells a bit of a humorous tale at the same time. We had a viewer who got banned in my stream because he was being a little dink. This is the best way I can put it. And one of my moderators banned him. the kid then messaged the moderator and asked to appeal. The mod said no. Messaged the next mod. Next mod said no. Then started messaging viewers in my chat, whispering them, saying, "Hey, you have a lot of hours here. You clearly like Natty. Could you ask Natty to unban me?" And so I eventually did just make a public announcement on my stream and said, "Look, guys, there is someone who is from this stream who's going around messaging people. If they message you, just ignore them." And I did make the public announcement because at that point in time, I don't want to message every single person individually and just say, just ignore them, especially when I'm live. The really funny thing about this is that I eventually did get and sit down with this kid and I said, "You're not getting unbanned." My moderator's choice stands. He's like, "How do I fill out a form to get that moderator unmodded from your channel then?" And I just started, I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Well, clearly he doesn't make good decisions if he banned me." I'm like, "Clearly he did." Sorry, I'm just gonna mute myself. I was trying to make Blarg laugh there and he's just like dead-eyed, so.
I think that kid had a pretty good sense of humor.
That's wild. How do I fill out a form? Oh my god. All right. Was there anybody else that wanted to answer either Blarg's question or the question Natty asked? Any more points to go off of, or? Okay. All right, we're finally jumping into the next subject. Shoutouts, we have just been live for an hour and we are getting towards like we're like 80% of the way through. So this has been really well paced, really good stuff. And I see a lot of you guys are enjoying it. So give it up for all of our guests today, and just thank you everybody for participating. And whether you're just watching or you know, you're listening to me ramble right now in the voice call, just thank you. It's cool stuff. I love doing this podcast thing. It's nice to see a good turnout and a good response as a result. So the next subject we're going to touch on is networking. This is going to be regarding multi-streams, promoting other streamers, you know, shout outs, stuff like that. The whole shabam wham, the advertising, but not self-advertising. Pretty much getting your name out there to other people that do what you do. So the first thing I want to talk about is how you go about building your connections with people, because obviously without a support system, you pretty much you're gonna have trouble growing. Whenever your numbers increase in your stream, it doesn't fall on you. It falls on, you know, your name kind of being known by others, whether that's viewers or other streamers. But having the support of other streamers and just having that familiarity with other people within your community, or just knowing other streamers in general, whether they're in your directory or not, is, I think, really, really important, because it equals growth. Growth equals better streams, because the more action you have going on your streams, it gives you more energy, makes you a better broadcaster. You learn more the more people you have watching you, pretty much. The more eyes on you, the better you become, because you're able to do your own self-reflection and get more criticism, etc., etc. I just want to ask how, like, maybe the difference between like networking and building friendships and all that stuff. I don't know if I'm asking a good question, if it's too general or not. Is anybody confused, or can anybody go off that point, you think? All right. Natty, I see you nodding your head.
Okay, I'll start. So networking, I think that a lot of the time networking is essentially building a friendship, because especially if you're coming from two different directories, it's very different in the Pokemon directory or in the Overwatch directory, or basically any directory that you've built a relationship with within that same directory, because for the most part, you know your audience is going to like what they're going into, or if you're doing a multi-stream, you know, they're going to enjoy watching you both because they already, at least at the bare minimum, they like that content. As far as if you want to raid someone or do a multi-stream with someone who's maybe from a different directory that you're used to streaming in, you really do have to build that friendship, because you need to be able to trust that other person with your audience and trust that your audience is going to like them. For example, I split a lot of my stream time between Pokemon and Overwatch. Two very, very different games. So obviously I have friends now in both directories, and I like to raid my Overwatch friends even if I've done a Pokemon stream the time beforehand. So I need to trust that person that they're going to know how to now handle in the different kind of audience that might be coming into their channel from this. And it's the same with multi-streams, and especially with multi-streams, you need to be friends with that person, because if it's two people who don't really get along and don't really know much about each other, people can tell. It's awkward. I've watched multi-streams where you can tell it's these guys' first time actually having to have a prolonged conversation with each other, and it's just so awkward because they try to make a joke and the other person doesn't get it, and then it's like awkward silence. I think that if you're gonna do a multi-stream, be friends with that person, and then to add on to the networking part of it, how you reach out and make these connections, just be a viewer. There's things about reaching out on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm personally not good with that because I don't do it a lot. But for me, the majority of the people who are broadcasters that I've become friends with because I went into their stream and watched. Like, I didn't go in there and be like, "Hi, I'm a streamer too. Near, be my friend." I'm like, "No, man, I like your stuff." And if it happens to come up later on that I'm a streamer, or if I've watched you for a while and I really, really like your stuff and I really want to work with you, only then will I breach the subject of, "Hey, I also stream." But don't ever make that your leading point. Like, "Yeah, I'm a streamer too. I like your stuff. We should be friends." Don't do that. It's the most off-putting thing when someone comes into your channel. It's like, "Yeah, I just stopped streaming. Thought I'd come say hi," and I'm like, "Okay." I'll give it to someone else, though. I could rant on this topic for a solid 20 minutes, so I'll give it over now.
Alrighty. First person to raise their hand, go. All right, Blark.
All right, I'm excited about this subject. But anyway, anyways, when it comes down to networking versus friendships, I mean, it can be two totally different beasts, and a lot of people don't realize that, right? Be friends first and foremost. Get to know people in the community that you are going to be a part of, that you are going to be streaming in, okay? That's the number one thing that you have to do whenever you're a streamer, okay? You want to make sure that you understand who's there and what their content is like. This way you know for the future, in case you do want to send support, send a host, send a raid, or whatever to that person. Now, the number one thing that I have learned, okay, and this is just a general rule. There are exceptions to this rule, but I want to go ahead and make this perfectly clear. One of the best things you can do whenever you're networking is to find a channel that's a similar size to you, okay? Because if they're similar size, they're going to appreciate the support even more. They'll probably come in and they may even come and check out your stream if you've never watched them before. I'm not saying that it's like a requirement that when you do that, they have to come check you out, because of course that's a given. No one's required to come back and check out your content, okay? They have to enjoy it, okay? But what I've learned is that by sending support to similar size streamers, you can kind of be like, okay, we're in this together kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? We're in the same directory. We're similar size. Let's work. We can work together to benefit each other. On top of being, friends, especially if you've hung out in their communities before. That being said, I'm not saying you can't drop a raid on a smaller channel. Okay, that still happens, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to realize something, that networking is something that you work towards. Okay, it's not something that's handed out freely. It's not something support is not given just because you did, just because you threw a host at somebody. Okay, it doesn't matter if you donate to somebody or if you host someone or if you come in and you're there all the time. They don't owe you anything, right? They don't owe you any of that stuff. But the number one thing that you have to do is you have to be confident in your content that you produce. And make sure that shows, because then when people come by and check out your content, they're more than likely to network with you, work with you. But you got to have that confidence, because if you don't, and you're just pushy, or you're going into a channel where you're like, "Oh, hey, I'm a streamer. Or you donate $5 and it's like, "Hey, I love your stream, but I'm going live now." It's just yeah. I don't know how else to build upon that, but I guess you kind of get where I'm coming from. Don't be the person that expects something in return, be the person that is confident in your own content to where you can network with someone else. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Next, we're going to go to Mitch. But before that, two things that I think are really important to take away. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Brob say before, Brobson. He said on his stream before, streamers don't know viewers shit. Viewers don't owe streamers shit. I think one thing to add to that, based off what Blarg said, is streamers don't owe each other shit. I think that's it's really, really good stuff. Definitely some points a lot of people agreed with. It resonated really well with the chat. Good responses going on. All right, Mitch, take it away.
Well, I'll start by saying I owe everyone here something, because this here is networking. This is the very definition of it. Like, that's what we're doing. Here's 6 streamers talking about streaming. Like, we're getting to know each other. We're getting to know each other's opinions. This is where we grow. This is a very good example of networking here. Like, I know most of these people through passing, but I haven't actually had the opportunity to really talk with them about what makes them them and what their views are. So this is a really good opportunity for me to learn as well, because I'm still a fledgling streamer. I don't stream very often. I stream when my internet lets me stream and when my computer lets me stream. Mine is a very situational thing, but when it comes to networking, I still have a lot to learn, at least from what I've gathered from it. Know the person, at least be somewhat tight with them to know their channel, their viewer base, and what they like to do. That way you can find a good meeting ground to be able to do something with them. For example, the only multis I've ever done are with Echo. I bring him up all the time, but those are the only multis I've ever done because we share a similar interest. We're friends in real life. There's a reason for that. So we stream together when we can. We have very similar, community bases, because everyone that knows him knows me because of Ryan. That's all because we've networked with Ryan, and then we built off that. We've got our own viewer base, and that's just kind of, all together like that. When it comes to what I stream Warframe the majority of the time. I'd love to stream Pokemon, but I like to do that in my own time. That's just me. Warframe is where I'm really at, so I need to start reaching out to people I know who also play Warframe. Data Dave, for example, is one of them. He knew I played Warframe. He gave me some stuff for Warframe, and I'd love to be able to do something with him. The only boundary there is consoles. So you want to make sure that you know how they play it, get to know them, be in their stream, spend time with them. That's the only way, because like Nettie said, you can't just say, hey, let's do something, and there be awkward silence the whole time. That's just not gonna, there's no chemistry there. It doesn't create for a good experience. It's just kind of two people rambling, but you want an active conversation to hear. I think that's important. You want to be able to have them mesh. So that's my opinion on it.
All right, good stuff. We're going to go to Jan next, who actually I have multied with before, so I'm definitely interested to hear your perspective on all this. So.
Yeah, I absolutely hate multing with that guy Pokefin. It's the absolute worst. No. So I think networking is a thing that I'm not particularly good at, mainly because I'm just really lazy. And as you guys said, it takes a lot of work and effort. I'm not really super big on my Twitter game. I basically only ever tweet at my stream. When I talk to people online, other streamers, it used to be different because I used to see that networking was important, so I kind of tried. But like I eventually saw that networking for the sake of networking isn't very effective, and it's also just really it takes a lot of effort, and I don't really get a lot out of it out of my time, like that makes it enjoyable. Like as someone who streams while going to school and stuff like that, I generally only stream because it's fun for me, right? Like I'm not in this for the money, because we all know that that's not really the big side of it here. So I try to only do things that aren't enjoyable if I know that they're going to have a very measurable positive effect on my stream, like working on certain settings and trying to set up equipment and stuff like that obviously is important because it will later make your streams more enjoyable. If I really work with another streamer it's generally if because they're my friend, or if I talk to them, it's because they're my friend, or because if I'm like on that Twitch team with them on the Twitch Treehouse. Shout out to those guys. It's just because I want to make new friends, and that's the enjoyable part to me, right? The the um the importance of networking is there, but I think that as it's not that enjoyable to me, I generally just try to talk to my friends and have a good time, and that gives you the best like multi experiences too, right? The best people to watch, the people who have the best chemistry, are two people who are just friends anyway, right?
Okay, Jocario, bring us home.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, I am kind of in a similar situation as Jan here, because we both don't really stream like for the money, right? I mean, I don't even have a
As
very
opposed to all you
regular.
other sellouts here.
That's not what I said. Anyways, yeah, I'm like, as I said in my introduction, I'm a VGC player who happens to be streaming. And as far as how I like meet people, yeah, it basically started with me just hanging in Twitch communities. Or like, yeah, there's like a split community between competitive Pokemon players like yeah, the VGC players, and the like shiny hunters and more casual players. And I'm hanging in both communities. I got to know like the people from the VGC community who like started to stream more this year round. I got to know them through like the battle community, and yeah, the other part of the community, I was hanging in streams like basically all of E4's streamers, and got to know people. And actually, I didn't plan on streaming or anything, and people just asked me to stream at some point because after like being somewhat successful at like online tournaments, people wanted to see me play, and I thought, yeah, why not give it a shot? And yeah, and about multis, I've done one. Okay, does it count as a multi if I like what we did, Kevin? Or is that like, since I wasn't streaming?
I mean, we did collaborate. Like, you were in a voice call with me when we played. Like, you weren't streaming at the same time. That's what the definition of a multi is. But we did.
All right.
We did network. We collaborated. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
the same idea. Like, we're technically all kind of multiing together, kind of, except the other 5 of you aren't live because that would be silly. There's no other gameplay screen to look at. You know. But yeah, it's under the same category.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, usually as for like when you do gameplay and stuff, they're like, depending on the content, I like multis more or less. Like when I play a game with Aspen, for example, and when we like do VGC and stuff, it's cool to have like those one-on-one streams, or like you don't play like against each other, but like with each other. And I also enjoy like your multis with, for example, with Jay or with Ryan, as long as like the vibe is correct. Sometimes like streams that have too many broadcasters on at the same time, I'm not a big fan of those because like the chat interaction kind of lacks sometimes. And yeah, that's like, I think, an important part of like streaming here in our category. Yeah, but yeah, I guess some people like it more chaotic, but I guess I'm just too old for that.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good point with multi streams. You see a lot of there's like an uprise in it, I feel like last year. Like I don't know if it was a thing before 2017. Maybe I wasn't as involved in the Pokemon community really. But I feel like it's like a new thing where people are just streaming at the same time and they're in voice calls together and showing their separate gameplay screens. Like it feels so new to me. So obviously because it's new, because it's unfamiliar, it's not something that, you know, any caster who focuses on themselves is used to doing. It is something that's fun to do if you're with the right people and you're able to manage your responses to the chat well. That's another thing. I guess it ties into mod teams. Like that, you kind of trust them to hold it down for you, in a sense. Like when I'm doing Splatoon with another broadcaster and we're both live at the same time, like I especially need moderators in the chat to like keep things going. You know what I mean? If I didn't have mods here right now to help like offer their opinions in response and like show the professionalism and their engagement with the stream, you know, which would push other people to chat. Like, I don't know, there just wouldn't be anything good going on. So, organized chaos is good chaos, even though multis are inevitably going to be chaotic. So, yeah, Blarg.
Okay, so like, not necessarily like in like a total like multi sense, because let's be honest, we've all had that situation where we've multied with someone and they completely take over the conversation, right? But in a stream where you're, say, shiny hunting, which is a lot more of a laid back environment, you know what I'm saying? Because you're doing the same repetitive task over and over. For example, I like to be in, you know, like my office section on the Discord where my mods or like former Elite Four members can come and join in and say hello, because it adds that extra dynamic. How do you guys feel about that? And do you feel like it's like invasive to the chat experience, or do you think that with something laid back like that, it kind of fits? What are your thoughts on how that works? Just like having your mods come in just to add that extra layer, or, you know, just to have that little extra tidbit of conversation. This way, you know, it can kind of add something else to the experience. Like, I know there's probably like a time and a place, like if you're playing like a really active game, you're not going to want to do that because it's going to take away from the core experience. But in like more laid back situations, like, what do you guys think?
All right, I'll go. See, for me personally, I'm not a fan of having my mods in a chat with me, simply because I'm the kind of person that, especially when I'm reading chat, I have a need to read out loud what it is I am going to be responding to. So I tend to find that when I have my mods in the chat and they want to talk, which is quite obviously why they're in the chat, is to talk, I constantly have to be like, shh, I'm trying to read this. Like, I'll like, just reading the chat right now, I you know, if I was to respond to someone, like, I'm going to use Kieran because I know Kieran won't mind. I'd be like, you're really trying to catch these wheels. Like, and then I would respond to it. And so having my mods in the chat talking to me interrupts that experience for me, because I feel like I want to talk to my chat and not just my mods.
I feel like having them in there with you while you're streaming kind of plays favorites. That's just my opinion. The mod team is there to moderate the chat. You're there to stream. If you have those clash, then I feel like, while I understand the mods are in there for a reason, they're mods, you know, you're chatting with your mod, makes sense. But I also feel like it takes away from it being you there watching. That's just my opinion on that.
I think I disagree with Mitch a little bit. Generally, I know where you're coming from. I think there's a lot of potential to have, like, how do I put this? Like, certain characters who come onto your stream who can enhance the experience, I guess, and a lot of big streamers do this, right? I don't know, Reynad has that one friend that comes on with him sometimes who's really cool and entertaining. Or like Shroud or Summit will have like their duo partners who are really entertaining, right? Who aren't maybe also streams, but mainly are just like a side character on the thing. You can enhance the experience, I think. Although if you feel the need to enhance your experience by getting your mods into the stream, I think my first instinct, if I was doing something like that, would be to, whoa, if my stream isn't entertaining enough with myself, then I'm not, there's something I'm not doing right? Like would be my first like gut instinct there, instead of just, okay, I need to bring out someone else to make the stream more entertaining, I guess.
And I can totally see where you're coming from, and I appreciate that. That's what this is about, is being constructive and stuff like that. So having that viewpoint as well is really good. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kev, but I'll let you
you're
go.
good.
I
You're
just wanted
good.
to say that.
I love civil disagreement. That's literally there's 6 people here. There's no way we all think the same way. We can all bounce off of each other and give each other thoughts that like we might not have been able to put into words initially. We can all agree with each other, and we can also not agree with each other. You know, that's why I have people that, you know, either they know each other well or they aren't familiar with each other. I do that on purpose because it makes for some interesting conversation. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to add on to the general network discussion? Yeah, Natty.
Sorry, it's not really adding on to the general. It is to do with the mods and voice chat. Can I still say it?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
I think it also depends a lot on a person's stream. Like for mine, if you were to click on mine and you heard my mods talking to me, it would seem very off. But I think it also has a lot to do with how often you've already allowed your mods on there. Like for example, if I click on a Vanderforge stream and it's just him talking, I'm like, did he get in a fight with his mods? Why don't I hear Chase? Why don't I hear Laura? Like, I've gotten so used to his moderators being on his channel that I can't, sorry, I shouldn't say I can't watch him, but it's off-putting to watch him without them. So I think it very much depends on how you've structured your stream around if you let your moderators or you let people come talk to you while you're streaming.
Now, I will say this, like, the way that I handle it is that my mods are generally, like, quieter when they're in the voice call, and they usually only chime in, like, if it's, like, to add to a joke. The majority of the time, they're still typing in the chat, so it's not, like, super invasive. It just kind of adds to the experience, and I personally think that it adds to the, you know, to the layers of depth to the stream. Like, I really enjoy the way that works, because, you know, if you have something funny and I'm the only one laughing, sometimes that can be kind of awkward. But if I have someone in the voice call with me and they're laughing too, it can make that more enjoyable for like chat overall.
Laugh is contagious.
Yeah. I think also what makes mod voice calls fun. What's done? Okay. Anyway, what makes mod voice calls, God damn it. What makes mod voice calls fun is I used to do them all the time in my first year of streaming, like 4 years ago. I used to do them all the time when I played Smash with my mods. We used to get in a room of 4 and we would all play together. And I wouldn't even have my face cam on when I first started streaming, so it was really fun to like have them be a part of it. So I think the general point here is that everybody's stream is ran a little bit differently, but I do think it is important to be able to hold the reins yourself. You know, you don't want to be getting a pony ride every time you're live. You want to be able to ride the horse yourself. So, yeah. Any other points? Or are we gonna
ride you any day, Kevin?
God damn it.
Want some Smash?
Anyway, nice. Way to throw it in there. So what we're gonna do now, the topics that we discussed today, and I'm sure there are points that or statements you guys are making. Hold on. I'm gonna talk over the few topics we talked about, and then you guys can ask questions related to them. We're only gonna probably answer 3 or 4 just for the sake of time constraints. I don't want this going like way over 2 hours. I like to keep it around the 1.5 to 2 hour mark just for the sake of literally like not just burning out and just keeping it brief and, you know, chill. So the topics we talked about today are trolls, deciding your mod team. We threw chargebacks in there, which was completely unplanned. So like PayPal chargebacks. We talked about networking, and yeah, that's it. So trolls, deciding your mod team, networking, and chargebacks. Do you guys have any questions in the chat before we sign out today? All right, now we wait.
All I see is Q&A.
Other smaller streamers who I have only a little connection with come to my chat and leave as soon as they are shouted out. I don't know how to approach them at this point, to be honest. Any advice? Oh, this is good. We just talked about, Natty was like, ooh, we should talk about like how not to network. Well, there's example number 1. Natty, take it away.
I have a rule in my chat, and my moderators know this rule well. Unless I specifically say, shout this person out, no streamer gets a shout out in my channel for that exact reason. Because I would have people stop by, get their shout out, and leave. So now there is a pre-approved list of people who can get automatic shout outs. Most of my beautiful people on this panel with me are included on that list. Love you guys. But for the most part, if I don't know you, I don't watch your stream, and I haven't told my mods to shout you out, you will not get a shout out when you come into my stream now.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go for
Yes.
it.
I will say this, and not saying this happens like all the time, but I know it's happened to me like personally, where like sometimes I just go into a stream to say hey because I don't have a lot of time. I don't expect a shout out, but then they still do it, and then when they do it, sometimes I kind of feel
You feel like
bad,
really bad, right?
Yeah.
or like I'm obligated to kind of stick around. And I just want
Yeah.
you guys to know this. It's not that I don't appreciate it and I don't love you, but sometimes shout outs kind of have a negative impact on me personally because it's like, oh, I was just coming in to say hey and that I miss these people. But okay, I'll stay another like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I actually feel like I actually stopped doing shoutouts in like chat, just because I felt my chat was getting a little bit too spammy with commands and shit like that. I just basically if there's someone in chat who streams, I just kind of like if I can implement into the conversation I'm having or into the stream that I'm having, I just kind of talk about it. If I feel like they're actually like a streamer worth checking out and shit like that, right? Because I want people to check out other streams because it's cool. But yeah, I don't know. People like, I guess it's really hard to like gauge the intentions of people like coming by and because I do this all the time. I just like drop by people, say hi, and then like do something else because I have days where I only have like 5 minutes to spare between like some other things, and I see someone's live and I just want to say hi.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing that I actually recently said is got to stop doing shoutouts unless there's a verbal call out for it or unless we're rated. Just because I don't know, anybody who was here last week saw that with the amount of users that are new to Twitch, twice as many people are streaming as there are people that just watch. So like that's new viewers in the last year. Twice as many new people in the last year are coming on Twitch to stream, not just to watch. So obviously,
Wait, can you clarify that statistic? I don't really understand.
Josh
Double the
like
people.
Josh like showed us this graph that there's like 48% of the new people are like streamers and there's like 26% just viewers or something. I don't know. I don't.
Wait,
I don't.
what are the other
I got it.
20%?
Hold on. Yeah, Blarg.
I remember how it worked out. Basically, it was kind of a percentage based increase. While there's obviously more viewers than there are streamers on the platform, the way that the growth has been handled is say there was, okay, I'm just gonna pull a number out of my ass. Okay, say there was 200,000 viewers, okay, on Twitch at like any given point, and then there's 100,000 streamers. Okay, so instead of it would be like a 20-something% increase on the 200K for viewers, and yes, that's still going up, but you say now there's 150,000 streamers, so it kind of like offsets the balance. So the growth
the
is
amount
a
of
little bit differently.
the growth, the percentage growth of streamers is higher than the percentage growth of viewers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I get it.
because of that, there's like it almost feels like there are days where like a lot of the people chatting also have streamed, however seriously they take it. Like depending on your channel size, everybody's situation is different. But for me specifically, I feel like more than half the people that chat in my chat are also streamers. So it just got to a point where like shouting people out got really, really crazy, and it would take up a lot of my commentary to the point where it's just like and the chat's getting flooded too with just like shout out after shout out. So we just kind of like keep the stream for what it is. Everybody's there for the content that's on the screen and for each other. If you're there for any other reason, like that's silly. So yeah, Joko.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to this. Basically, an experience that I made is includes a streamer, or like wait, where do I begin? Basically, you probably already know that you shouldn't call out people that lurk, even if you know that they're a streamer. And like sometimes you would look onto your on your chat and you see, okay, there's that guy that I know who streams and is like maybe a bigger streamer than you are, and you're kind of hyped like like the fanboy I am. No, but for real, like if a bigger streamer or like if any streamer just lurks in your chat, there's a good reason for it. And as a matter of fact, I talked to one of those people after my stream like they were texting me, and we just had a casual conversation, and yeah, like that person said, okay, they were watching my content, it was cool and stuff, and I just like asked, was there a specific reason you didn't talk this time? Because usually that person was talking, and they told me that it gets like awkward if they like get shoutouts every time. Oh yeah, and like in that conversation, I was also saying, yeah, like I have been inactive for a while at that point. I had been inactive for a while at that point, and then I still got a lot of shoutouts, which made me feel like weird, I guess, because like I wasn't active and people were still following me. So yeah, I also said that it's kind of like they don't need to shout me out every time I'm there, and they said like, yeah, same dude. That's why I like to lurk in people's streams instead of like revealing my presence. Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Well, very, very good points. Mitch, how do you feel about people just going into chats, getting their shoutouts, and leaving?
I will say this now. I feel bad for doing it. There have been times where I can't stay in people's streams for very long. One, because I work a graveyard shift. I work 3:30 to midnight. I don't get to go to many people's streams for very long at a time. I can't have my phone at my desk. I mean, I do, but I'm not meant to. So I can't have many streams up on my phone because, I mean, my phone dies. I need my phone for other things as well. When I get home, we experienced this just now. My charger for my laptop is finicky as... it's finicky. So I can't have my laptop charged all the time. I can't have bounds of tabs open. So I feel bad for being shouted out, saying, hey, look, it's Mitch. Go follow him. I feel bad because most of the time I don't get to stay there for very long. So I feel bad for that. There have been times like last night, Kev, I came to your stream. I was at Walmart. So I popped in before I walked through the doors, said hi, and then I put my phone away because I couldn't hear you. And so it's like, I felt bad because I had to do that. I popped in for a split second. So shouting out and then just leaving when it's me, I feel bad. For others, I feel like it's cheap. I feel it's cheap, especially if you don't know the person. If they're someone you may have met in passing, then I could understand doing it, especially if you've been raided. For example, if you've been raided by this person, a shout out's completely understandable. But if they're just coming in out of nowhere, saying I just finished stream, but they didn't raid you and they want a shout out, like stuff like that, I don't think flies very smoothly. So that's at least my point on the whole situation. I feel like shouting out can be good in some sense, bad. So it really depends on the situation.
Alrighty. All right. I'm gonna offer my opinion on this. I think one thing, if we're gonna like speak generally here, is if you do have another broadcaster coming into your stream, saying hi every now and then, you notice they just happen to leave when you shout them out, like right after, right? I think it's important to maybe understand the perspective of, you know, intent versus like what's actually happening. Like you like picture your situation, you know, when you just go in, you say hi, and then you know, they go through the same thing you've been through before, where you come in, you say hi, you have to leave. What if that person, they go through that on a daily basis? You know, what if they just say hi and then they lurk, or like they say hi and they're cleaning their room? Like on the other side of the screen, you never know what's happening. So I do think it is good to give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because you don't necessarily 100% know what's going on the other side of the screen. But sometimes it is painfully obvious when somebody is going to your stream just because they see you're doing well. You know, there are people that will only show up to your stream and say hi when you have the triple digits going on. They're like, oh my God, that's so exciting. Good for you. And then you also happen to talk about like, oh, I see that they're a streamer you know, shout them out while they're at my really big, exciting stream. And then all of a sudden, when you have half that viewership, they're not ever showing up anymore. So, you know, that could just be the way things go. You know, again, you don't know what's going on their side of the world, their side of the screen. But, you know, some things feel a little too coincidental sometimes. But not everything has a set answer. All right. Jan, you got any thoughts?
Not really. Just that, yeah, it's just like you said, you can never gauge the intention of the person. It's really easy to become accusatory or wonder or anything. I just try to give people the benefit of the benefit of the doubt at all times.
We are going to move on to the next question. We only have 2 more questions that I took pictures of. So, hold on. I'm just going to scroll up. There was one more that I missed, actually. Okay. All right. Actually, I do think we're going to add a 4th in there because I do like Sarah's question. But this one comes from Shiny Collector 98. He asks, do you ever unmod people? What for? Like if someone isn't in there for a while or bad behavior. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer first and like tell one of my stories. So over the summer, I had like 45 mods. Like I had way too many people. I've been streaming for 4 years now. Like since 2014, I've been streaming. So obviously I meet a lot of people over that time. And I lose a little bit of track after like taking breaks and et cetera, et cetera. I don't see how like some people have changed. So it got to a point where like I pretty much purged more than half the mod team. 1 based on inactivity, 2 based off who I don't think is a good fit, 3 to avoid the mod wall because there were a lot of people that were active but weren't necessarily great fits. They were just people that were there a lot, and I stream 8 hours, so I'm like, oh, this person happens to be here from like 5 to 8, so like they could take that. But then I realized like less is more in that sense. The less mods you have, like as long as it's in scale to your chat flow and your viewership, I think unmodding people can be appropriate based on your situation. If you feel like somebody isn't a good fit anymore, just take their sword away. Is my opinion. So yeah. Jan, I see you raising your hand.
There was 2 situations in my time on Twitch where I unmodded people, or, well, one of them not so much. The first one was back in the day when I streamed a lot, when I started getting to know people. I started modding like just other streamers in my chat just because. I don't know. And eventually I was like, hey, this is actually kind of, and like I don't think they ever even noticed. It was just like it's a thing that I stopped doing. The other one was I had a mod. He was actually my very first mod, and he just eventually didn't show up for streams anymore for like 9 months or something. And then we had a situation in the mod channel, in the mod Discord channel, where I posted like a super edgy meme, as I do, and one of my mods like screenshot was like, hey, what if I tweet this out? And I was like, hey, wait, we have people in this Discord channel where I actually don't engage with anymore. Maybe I should, you know, and then I kind of unmodded them. But the awkward part was I forgot to unmod them in Twitch chat. And then a couple days ago, they came back to Twitch chat. So now I'm like, okay, do I unmod them there? Or do I remod them in Discord? Or what do I do now? And I kind of just forgot about it and I put off that decision. So yeah. But yeah, I think for me, yeah, the mod wall, I guess, was a concern for me for a while, but then I switched my streaming schedule. Oh shit, he's in chat right now. What's up, Ecole? Or like, yeah, if they're not really a part of your community anymore, like, yeah, there's not really a reason to have them on anymore. I guess he understands. I'm glad.
Well, Natty, how do you feel after finding out that Ultra Tom 100 unmodded you from his Twitch chat?
I'm hurt. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you could answer the question, Shiny Collector. You could answer that, and then do you ever unmod people? What for? Like if someone isn't in there for a while or bad behaviors? That was the question. So you could answer both. Comedic, not comedic.
Wait, what's the first one I'm answering?
How do you feel? How do you feel about Tom?
betraying me about unmodding me? Oh, we're friends, man. It's fine. I get it. So, as far as the actual question at hand, I have unmodded people before. I have two sets of mods to my channel, and if you ever click on my channel, you'll even see like I have regular mods and what I call my honorary mods. My honorary mods are my friends, like that I don't ever expect to show up, but if they do, spam my chat all you want. You are my friends. A lot of the former E4 members are honorary mods. Like I don't expect them to show up, but if they do, I'd like them to be able to type their hearts out and not get timed out for spamming too fast. The other ones are my regular mods, and my regular mods, like I said earlier, my mod team is my second family. So if you hurt my family, you won't be a part of it much longer. And I have had people who have, as I like to say, they've gone rogue, where they were doing a really good job, they were part of my team, and then things change. I've had people, I can think of two people who are probably the best example of, and I won't give names again, and again, I ask if anyone in the chat who does watch me and knows my community doesn't, call them out. But I had one guy who just, he went through some stuff and his attitude changed, and I kept giving him chance after chance after chance after chance after chance to kind of put his attitude back right, but they were just constantly picking fights, and and it got to the point where they weren't just picking fights among the mods anymore, they were picking fights to viewers. And that's where I really had to put my foot down. Like, if it's, it was contained within my mod chat, no one had to know what was going on. We were willing to step up, help them through, but when it leaves that sort of sacred area, if you want to call it that, you do eventually have to address it. And then the other one, basically the same thing, like, they just kicked off one day, and and I will forgive a lot of things, but there are some things that are unforgivable, and it does land up with people losing their swords, and it's unfortunate. But your moderators are essentially the outside extension of your Twitch chat. People will recognize your mods in other streams, and if they see your moderator kicking off and being an asshole in someone else's stream, it does kind of come back to reflect poorly on you.
All right. Cool. Well said. All right. Mitch, Joko, Blarg, who's next? All right.
Well, I thankfully haven't had to unmod someone. That just because I'm such a small streamer, I really haven't had that experience. I don't get to stream too often. Thankfully, me and my mods share the same mindset. Whenever something happens, it happens, and they take care of it. Kind of like Nady, I have people on my mod team that are just there because they're there. For example, my brother is my mod, one of my mods, but he every now and then will come to my stream. He doesn't know the commands. He doesn't know any of that. He's just my brother. I appreciate what he does and what he's done for me. Echo is my only other mod, and he does everything for me. So I am a baby when it comes to that stuff, and he takes care of me. So I appreciate him for everything he does, and hopefully as that comes along, I will continue to appreciate his opinion on everything I do. So that's something else I feel like mods need as well, is that ability to help you make decisions. You chose them for a reason. They're an extension of yourself. You should trust on them to be able to help you make decisions. So that's my opinion, my 2 cents.
All righty. Good stuff. All right. Blarg, and then Joko.
Just first and foremost, shout out to all those good mods out there. Like, for real, you guys do a lot. And like, we wouldn't have our communities as well as they are without your support. So thank you. The big thing that I will say that I've ran into is just like, I was in a situation that was very, very similar to Kevin. Like, I had almost 50 moderators, and I went on a demodding spree. And I told a few people that I was going to, and then some people just didn't know. And I had a lot of people that were really, really salty. Okay. And They were like, "Oh, I don't understand." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to have a mod wall situation. I don't want to have a situation where it's nothing but swords in the chat. I don't want to have a situation where," and I was flat out honest. I'm like, "Some of you guys don't do anything, right?" And I can understand having honorary mods. That's a completely different thing. Those are like, real friends or people that stop in from time to time, and that's a great thing. That's totally fine. But then you have those people that were actual moderators at the beginning, and then they stopped. They just came to show up like any other viewer, and whenever you demod them, they would kind of get upset because they didn't understand. And then when I finally broke it down to a lot of people were okay with it. But the biggest thing that I ran into was the amount of upset people because I had to get rid of a lot of mods, and yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to tell someone that you appreciate them while you're demodding them. You know what I mean? Like when you're taking something away from someone, but it's almost like a backhanded compliment in a way, because it's like, hey, I love you, you're great, you're a good person, but I kind of need to pull this back from you,
All right, Jocario.
Okay, so to start things off, as of right now, I started my bachelor semester and work basically full time, like 40 hours a week. And literally, when my day starts at 6 a.m. is when Kev starts his stream, and when I'm home, he ended his stream like 2 hours ago or so. So Kev, if you want to unmod me, I'm not gonna be mad.
No,
I'm not gonna be mad.
No, fuck you.
Just saying.
I'm not
Okay.
unmodding you.
Okay, good. I'm happy. Yeah, no, for me, so I have rather. Yeah, so the thing about the VGC community is the percentage of people that are talking in chat actively is usually a little lower than in like other Pokemon communities. That's why I actually don't need that many mods. So yeah, but I still have a little more mods than you'd usually need to have because, like as I said, my stream schedule is not that regular, and I just need a little more mods to make sure I always have some active, right? And yeah, I have unmodded people before, but they are still friends of mine, and it's just because basically, yeah, they're not active anymore. I speak to them like once in 3 months or so, and it's also like they have, I don't want them to have that kind of feeling that they are responsible to show up or something. If you know what that, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I've also been modded on streams before where people was like they were saying they didn't like at first they didn't want to mod me just because they knew I was also a content creator and they didn't want me to feel like I'm responsible. Yeah, that was my 2 cents.
Alrighty. So
you muted, by the way.
Yeah, no, I was muted on Discord, not OBS. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm pressing a lot of buttons at once here so that there's no like shenanigans. I know I said we were gonna do 2 more questions, but just for the sake of time, just to keep it around 2 hours, we're gonna just do 1 more question. And it's completely unrelated to, well, not completely, but kind of. It's a bit of outside the realm of all the subjects we talked about today, but I think it's good to talk about and hear from all of us because we all are streamers of different sizes right now. So yeah, Midnight Shadow asked, I guess I have a question. How do you engage with viewers more when chat is being quiet or lurking? So this is something, I'm not going to answer it first, but it is relevant to me too. So who wants to go first? All right, Mitch, go.
I guess I will. My chat's relatively tiny. There's barely any action in my chat when I stream. Because most of the time I don't talk. I find myself like with the games I play, it takes a lot of my focus. Because they're RPGs, there are cutscenes, shit like that. So I try to talk to chat when I can. If I see that, I check chat, there hasn't been any, talk, I try to ask questions. I try to engage in them rather than them engage in me. Because you're the streamer, you should be in control of it. So, trying to connect with them is going to be the best way to try and pick it up. But in some circumstances, it may be the opposite as well. Like you may want to focus on something a bit more and just say, "Hey, I'm just gonna focus on this real quick, and then I'll get back to you guys." It's it can work both ways. But at least what I've tried to do when communication is low is I just try to ask questions, try and figure out how people's days are going. Again, it's that ongoing interview of finding right mods that works proactively towards that. So I feel like it's always just an open book that you can constantly refer back to. So that's me.
Sorry, I'm always so like hyper whenever I answer these questions. But no, like what I do is like if I feel like chat, and I understand people lurk, I understand people have to do things. Like whenever you stream in the time slot that I stream, people go to sleep. Okay, it happens. Kevin, you know this for a fact. People go to sleep, and one of the big things I do is I get chat spamming. Okay, I get chat doing something. I'm like, oh man, guys, I'm feeling this shiny. Yo, throw up those blessed RNGs. Give me some spam. Or in one case, like I've kind of shifted my stream to a lot of like Dragon Ball kind of related stuff. So I have this thing where I power up and I go Super Saiyan. So people like that, and then of course, like on top of what Mitch said, like I ask questions and I try to engage the audience, and then I talk about not only what I'm doing, but the plans for future streams, because if the chat is starting to die down and you explain what your plans are over the next couple streams, that can also get chat engaged, and you can get them hyped about what's to come or what's coming down the line, and that's what I do. I just try to mix it up, make it fun, keep it fresh, and just do what I do.
All right. Yeah, going off that late night time slot, this is actually something I went through today. I asked like, who wants to raid, and I got like 2 people that said yes, but then like I had like 15 people that actually joined in the raid. So it's weird. Like response or chat activity doesn't always equal the eyes on you or the ears listening. Some people just don't chat, or they're doing something else while the stream is up. Like that's just something that happens. So that's important to understand first and foremost. The other thing though is if you want the chat interaction, if that's something you strive for, if that's something you want to keep going, just one thing I used to do that I don't do anymore because I'm better with improv now is I used to have like general Pokemon question index cards, like a specific question about Gen 4, like fun trivia fact, what is number blank in the Pokedex? And then it just gets a bunch of people that went on Google and spam the thing, and then we go into a tangent about Gen 4. Like one thing leads into the other. That's the flow of streaming. So asking questions is just a good way to get people chatting. So as me, who streams a lot of Nintendo games lately, the thing I've been asking is like, oh, what characters do you want in Smash for Switch? What's everybody's weapon of choice in Splatoon? Like, just ask their favorite something or some anticipation about a relevant game thing that's coming up or has been rumored or discussed. And make sure it's something that actually interests you too. Don't just ask questions for the sake of asking it. Make it something that you're passionate about talking about, because that's going to be interesting to listen to. You want to put out content that you yourself would enjoy watching. So, yeah. Jan, go.
So there's a couple things I think you can do, and I think we've all gone through this as streamers who've built up their stream, where like chat's just dead, right? And I think we've all developed like our own techniques, and it's very unique to everyone. I think a couple of things that I do is I try to remember something about every one of my viewers that comes to the stream, right? Like, I know one guy, he has like a math exam coming up, right? I know one guy, he plays a lot of TCG, right? I'm kind of lucky in the fact that I'm interested in pretty much almost anything. Like, I can talk about pretty much any topic and try to learn it, and I'm curious, right? So another thing is just like, and this is something that just comes with practice, really, more than anything. If you're starting out streaming, you might not be good at it, but this is just something that comes with a while, right? It's just like, just random shit that goes through your head is like actually really easy to like spin around into like a question for chat or into like a general thing, or maybe you like make like a statement that might be a little bit hyperbolic, but it kind of gets people talking, right? Like, oh, dude, like, just throw something out there, like fucking, maybe you don't like Gen 2 as much. Like, let's be real, Gen 2 is like one of the most overrated generations in all of Pokemon, and that's like gonna get people talking, right? Like, people are gonna start talking about that. Or like, oh, like the classic like pineapple on pizza discussion or whatever, right? Like, just people love to discuss and kind of engage. And I guess since I like discuss about pretty much anything on my channel, like we'll just like spend the night talking about like fucking about like consent, right? Or is it okay to ask a girl if or should you always ask a girl if it's okay to kiss her, like if you're gonna kiss her, right? Just general discussions like that, right? That come up. And then I think another point that I think especially like gameplay focused streams like mine or Jocario go into is like the play-by-play commentary, right? Just like being able to talk about how you're playing and make that interesting, right? Like walking people through your thought process, every little thing, saying every little thing that you can engage, because if people are interested in your gameplay, they're going to start discussing with you. This might lead a little bit into like backseaty kind of situations, but in a more pleasant way where you're actually like having a discussion about like your lines of play. So I think that's another way of doing it, right?
I just want to say that answer was amazing, and I'm really sad that it was so distracting in the middle of that.
I was listening to the whole thing. It was phenomenal.
I was listening to the whole thing too, and then I impulsively just pet my shoe. That was weird. I urge you all to please just listen to what Jan said with your eyes closed later in the VOD, but it was all really good stuff. Jan being Pokemon Challenges, his first name is Jan. Sorry, you're out there. All right. So I'll remind the question again. I guess I have a question. How do you engage with viewers more when chat is being quiet and lurks? Joko, can you answer?
Yeah, like basically Jan just said what I wanted to say too. Like the play-by-play and being able to do commentary on your content is like, I guess it's harder for shiny hunters. I'm not sure because I haven't ever. I mean, I have done one shiny hunting stream, but like I never had to deal with an empty chat at that point. But like whenever I do a battle stream or something like that, and yeah, chat gets a little slower, then obviously I agree with everyone who has been answering before me that you can always ask chat for stuff that you're interested in that is somehow related. But yeah, making like being able to talk and do commentary on like your thought process really makes it a lot easier, and the people that are here that have seen my stream before know how many times like VGC has a timer so that the game doesn't go on for very long, and last year was 10 minutes, this year it's 5 minutes, and holy moly, I've timed out and lost so many games just because I was talking too much. Like for the first week I lost like half of my battles because I was talking too much. I swear. Yeah. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and like I said, right, that's something that comes with practice. Like so much of streaming is just like things that you learn throughout time and things that are practice, skills that are practice, things that you don't necessarily see when you actually start out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Jan, I gotta say, watching your stream made me like want to start streaming as well, because I noticed how good your English is, you know.
Aww.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
Wholesome moment.
Oh my god.
I think the clap
you,
needs to
Joko.
be heard.
All right. Well, we still have one more person to answer the question. Natty, bring us home.
So if you want more chat interaction, the first rule I can give you is bring a cat. Evidently. The second one, though, is everyone else has pretty much covered everything I could possibly say, except for your own attitude as a streamer, as a broadcaster, brings a lot into how much people are going to interact and want to talk to you. Because if you're dead, if you're just sitting there, like, monotone, every time someone asks you something, you're kind of like, people aren't going to want to interact with you. A lot of what you can bring to the table as far as how much your chat is going to want to interact with you comes from your own personality and your own energy that you give to your chat. If you're dead, your chat's dead. When I first started streaming, obviously I had no one in my chat, but I could just play a game and make fun of myself. Like, I'd be like, oh, geez, hello, like, and that would get people talking. They're like, are your reactions genuine? I'm like, half. So that's basically the only thing I can add to that is bring your own best energy to your every stream you do, if you and your chat will vibe off that.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think, dude, today was awesome. I really am. I mean, I get why, but I'm so shocked by the fact that there are so many people that just love listening to us talk and exchange opinions. That's so cool. I don't know. It's such a relaxing thing to do, and I hope you guys liked being a part of it. I'm definitely glad that this is something I'm making a weekly thing. Shout outs to UltraTom100 for making this layout that we now implemented for the Tuesday at 2 podcast. Next week, if you guys want to reach out to me, whether you want to be on the podcast or if you want to see a certain streamer on, please reach out to me at PokevSim on our Twitter DMs, on my Twitter DMs, and think about a guest that would be good for talking about conventions, because PAX East is coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend. So I kind of want to talk about like the anticipation and what sort of things to prepare for and like all that. I have some really interesting topics related to like getting yourself ready for going to a convention. So that's what we're going to be seeing next week. Now we are going to go send you guys on a raid. I have a pretty good target. Last week was cool when we all raided. If you guys want to, this person is also really, really big on chat interaction. So if you have any questions related to things we talked about, I'm sure she'd be open to answering them as well. We're gonna go with the same message as last time. So shout outs to Pulse Effects. Quote let's go unquote is the raid message. I'm gonna send you guys over to Ella. So peace out, guys. See you all there if you want to hang out with a really chill streamer. And see you all next week for Tuesday at 2. Farewell.